as I take a quick look at why everything... There we go, just about got that sorted. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerdlings of all ages, we have game number 3 here. Both of the series we've cast this morning. We've been very fortunate, incredibly tense, incredibly close, and all going to an ace match. Spawning over here, ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom of Daybreak, we have, representing Team Dignitas, it is JonnyREcco. His opponent, spawning in the top right-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, we have, representing FXO, it is LoWeLy. Incredibly strong, incredibly talented Zerg players here. What will they be able to do this time around? LoWeLy with excellent Mutalisk micro there. Good positioning against the third base of JonnyREcco to take that second game. But let's not forget, JonnyREcco came so close to taking it as well, because he managed to snipe off the third hatchery from LoWeLy and force the attack that ended the game. It could have gone either way, but that decision earlier to go for that Roach Warren from LoWeLy turned out to be pivotal, as he marched into the natural and was just able to do too much damage before before JonnyREcco's remaining mutas were able to come back and defend. And that is what made the difference in game 2. JonnyREcco, on the other hand, comprehensively outplayed his opponents in game number 1, and game number 2 was definitely more of a yo-yo affair, so I wonder if that's given him confidence going into game 3. Going to be starting off with that pool first once again, so neither player deviating from their strategies. We're not going to be seeing any sort of early pool style cheese or anything like that here. Both players just chilling out, going into their normal macro game, which means we can basically pop back at the 10-minute mark and be like, so guys, what differences have been made? But jokes aside, I mean, this is the bee's knees as far as tournaments are concerned. This is the StarCraft 2 World Championship we're talking about here. And we have places at this tournament to the World Championship Finals in China. So this is no laughing matter, and these guys want to get as far into the bracket as they possibly can. And neither of these players wants to go down into the absolutely monstrous lower bracket, where you have but one chance to prove yourself before getting knocked out of the tournament altogether. Very, very rough times down there. And of course, even if you do make it back up to the grand final, you need to win 2 best of 3s against your potential opponent before you can actually win the grand final. So lots on the line here. Neither of these players wants to go down. Spawning pool about to complete now for LoWeLy. He, of course, got his hatch first, so his pool's going to be a bit later, which means his queen's potentially going to be popping out slightly later as well, as the first queen from JonnyREcco pops out, but he has at least got 2 of them at once on the go. So 2 different routes are more or less the same thing, like we've been saying all series long, and JonnyREcco opting for just the slightly safer version of it, where the earlier pool gives you a little more flexibility with queens, allows you to potentially get lings out on the field earlier as well, if absolutely necessary. So he's just sort of being a little bit safer. In the meantime, we have speed now started by JonnyREcco, not yet from LoWeLy, who is getting 100 gas right now, and that's going to be metabolic boost, I believe, from the spawning pool very shortly indeed. And no! Okay, alright, so we have some interesting times going on here. It looks like we're not going to be seeing metabolic boost, because we're going straight for the Roach Warren. LoWeLy is going to be pinning his hopes on game 3, possibly on a Roach Rush here. And once again, are these Zerglings going to be able to come in and see? Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, he needs to stop those Lings from getting around, and he's unable to do so. He sees that the Roach Warren is most of the way complete, sees that the spawning pool is not actually researching anything, and once again, LoWeLy allows JonnyREcco into his face. That is a huge, huge deal in this particular game. We have got the Baneling Nest going down now for JonnyREcco as well. How is he going to respond to that ultra-fast Roach Warren from LoWeLy? We'll wait and see in just a moment, but he knows it's on its way. Gonna be grabbing his second gas at his natural expansion. Nothing too drastic at the moment. And there we go, an Evo chamber going down for him right now as well. So it looks like JonnyREcco's actually fairly comfortable at the moment, not feeling like he needs to rush out as many units as he possibly can. And after getting scouted as well, LoWeLy actually just going to be going straight to lair and getting that double Evo chamber at his main as well. So he's not going to be aggressive with these roaches, just like we saw in that last game. But the point is, if they weren't scouted by JonnyREcco, if the queens were able to take apart those 2 Zerglings that came into scout, LoWeLy could have been aggressive. And he's obviously opted not to now because he knows it's been scouted and he's expecting JonnyREcco to do something interesting. But JonnyREcco is actually just going Evo Chamber, Roach Warren after grabbing his layer as well. So both sides just going up to layer tech at the moment. LoWeLy saying, I might try and trick you with early roaches, I might go for a timing. JonnyREcco scouting, saying, no you don't, I know exactly what you're doing, and both sides just sitting back going, okay, we found no timing to kill each other this early in the game, so we're just going to go into the late game. And Daybreak, of course, is a map that allows that kind of late game scenario to exist that much more easily, because if you take a look at this rush distance here all the way up down here, as well as this rush distance exhibited by the Zerglings all the way down here, they're actually pretty long until you destroy the destructible rocks in the middle of the map. And usually at that point one side is feeling so confident that they should be able to, oh no, the Lings once again getting into the base, those roaches being pulled out of position. Once you feel confident enough that you think you can out-rematch your opponent, for lack of a better phrase, that would be very, very good indeed. Now, LoWeLy did have an infestation pit down there. Did JonnyREcco see it? Yes, he did. We have an overseer as well from LoWeLy, able to see everything in the face of JonnyREcco as well, and the infestation pit has also been seen. So both sides going for nigh identical upgrades at the moment. And tech roots, we have the infestation pit sub, 1 evolution chamber for JonnyREcco, 2 for LoWeLy, so he's getting those double ups, which is going to be fairly useful for him indeed. And both sides going for their third bases at this point of the game as well, with JonnyREcco's just a slightest bit faster. In the meantime, Overlords now spreading themselves out, so LoWeLy feeling like now is the time to try and establish a little bit of map vision with his Overlords. Watch, they're going to fan out absolutely everywhere so that he can get as much vision as he possibly can. JonnyREcco, in the meantime, electing to sort of keep his Overlords fairly close to his chest, not wanting them to sneakily get picked off by any sort of sudden transitions or a couple of infested Terrans a little bit later on down the line. LoWeLy going to be harassing the third base of JonnyREcco at the moment, but I think JonnyREcco has just about enough roaches. Yes, he does, especially with those in the back, who completely and utterly deny this. Very, very nice controlling 2 groups of roaches at once there, by the way. So JonnyREcco able to pick apart a couple of roaches there. He does squeeze himself into a small supply. He's currently a 108 to 98, which is pretty significant in a mirror matchup, because at the end of the day, there's no hard counter, because your opponent has all the same units you do. But the worker supply is 68 to 67 in favor of LoWeLy, so he's going to be able to catch up fairly comfortably. JonnyREcco now moving out across the map with some of his roaches. And he needs to be very careful here, because LoWeLy has a bunch of infestors out and about, and JonnyREcco really does not want to have them accidentally caught in a combo of fungal growth, and it looks like that might be what's going to happen if he continues on the current path, but I think he sees that LoWeLy has Overlords absolutely everywhere and thinks better of it at the end of the day. Got a little bit of Overlord goop getting spewed down between the second and third bases here. I like that decision from JonnyREcco, wanting to make sure that his bases are connected by creep, so he's able to defend them just that much easier. We have an Overlord here outstaying his welcome at the third base, and the Queen telling him to get out. He will probably comply with this, and the fourth base now being taken from JonnyREcco as well. That is pretty significant. LoWeLy also going to be taking his fourth. So now the game comes down to that really interesting ZVZ impasse where we see a lot of players go, right, who can out-snipe the other player's third and fourth bases, and who can get the income advantage in the long run? And then once the base is sniped, are we going to be seeing a counterattack from the player whose base just got destroyed? Or are we going to be seeing them sit tight, try and double expand or something like that? This is going to be very, very interesting to watch. LoWeLy already going up to Hive Tech, by the way, and he is getting a Hydralisk Den as well, but so is JonnyREcco just that little bit later. And not too much else at the moment, because I'm waiting to see what he's going to be doing with that Hive Tech. Are we going to be seeing a Spire put down? Could we be seeing a slightly faster transition into potential Broodlords in this matchup? We saw Broodlords from both players in our first ZVZ series on Daybreak, so it's entirely possible we could be seeing the same again. However, he could be using them for upgrades as well. What is the upgrade situation looking like for JonnyREcco? He is at 2-0, and what about LoWeLy? He is at 1-1. But don't forget, he has those double ups coming, so he will be at 2-2 shortly, and Group Spines is starting for Hydralisk as well, so definitely upgrade advantage going here to LoWeLy. In the meantime, look at all these Overlords absolutely everywhere for LoWeLy at the moment. Overlord speed has just been researched, and he is seeing approximately all of the things on the map at the moment. He does not want to leave anything to chance. And JonnyREcco has absolutely... Well, I mean, he still has decent map vision, but it's going to be very quickly poor map vision compared to LoWeLy because the Hydras are now out in force. And oh dear, is he actually going to lose this Overseer? Yes, he is. So the only forward overlord now for JonnyREcco is this one, and he cannot be feeling too comfortable with that. JonnyREcco does have Hydras out of his own, though, but he's not actually killing off that many of the overlords at the moment. Will he see this bunch down here? The Roaches see it. So is he going to send a couple of Hydras to try and clean this up? We'll find out in just a moment. A lot of spine crawlers being put down at the 4th base for LoWeLy, so he wants to really cement this position. We don't see any such activity being put down for JonnyREcco at the moment. He's got a single spine crawler right now. He's going for his hive tech as well, and yes, LoWeLy is indeed going for that Spire. So that's in the back of the natural expansion. You could be seeing a very quick greater Spire once that pops out. Both sides getting a little bit of a bank at the moment. We have JonnyREcco with 2,000, 1,000, and LoWeLy with a little bit less gas and a little bit less minerals, but he has a good army composition out on the field. JonnyREcco looking like it's time to attack at the moment. Let's find out what is going to happen. This army is getting caught completely out of position here, having to fungal to save those infestors. A lot of Hydras on the bottom here, but JonnyREcco continuing to wreak havoc up here in the top half of the battle. I have no idea who's going to win this. Excellent fungal growth on the Hydras, though, and it looks like LoWeLy is going to be able to win the battle on the bottom. JonnyREcco is able to escape with a few units up top, but LoWeLy able to reinforce there as well, which means that LoWeLy able to completely repel his opponent, and as a result, I think he takes a lead in that game. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought JonnyREcco was going to be able to break through, but it looks like the spine crawlers here up on top just about held their nerve. You can see this one only at 60 hit points. Very, very close times indeed. JonnyREcco now finishing off his 5th base, I suppose, at the top location, and LoWeLy only just taking his, but JonnyREcco already with a changing there, seeing exactly what's going on. In fact, we have changelings from both players, so they can't actually kill each other at the moment, which is somewhat amusing. And now JonnyREcco just going to be sending a roach there to remind LoWeLy that he knows exactly what's going on, but that's going to prompt the army to pop in. Will JonnyREcco use this opportunity for counterattack? He does not. Note that the destructible rocks in the middle still have not been destroyed because we don't yet have sufficient banks for players to be completely confident in their abilities to constantly rematch. Nice hunger growth, picking apart a couple of units. Good burrow there from JonnyREcco, able to save a couple of those roaches. Do we have a greater Spire? We do indeed. LoWeLy is halfway through, and JonnyREcco only just finishing his Spire now. Whereabouts is it? There it is, in the main base for him. Both of these players trying to hang in there as hard as they can at the moment. LoWeLy on 2-2 upgrades with 3-3 about to complete as well. JonnyREcco on 2-1 upgrades with 3-2 about to complete. So the upgrade advantage does lie with LoWeLy. What is the infestor count looking like? We have 6 infestors versus 5. So really that could go either way at this moment in time. The army compositions are relatively similar. We have more Hydras and fewer Roaches for LoWeLy compared to JonnyREcco. So LoWeLy's going to want to watch his army positioning just that little bit more as he loads up 3 Overlords, potentially getting ready for a drop in the main base. Does JonnyREcco see this? No. He has no vision. Absolutely none. Which is great. For LoWeLy, he's going to be able to do a decent amount of damage. And will he be able to pick the hive off? Are we going to see an identical play to what we saw in our first series on Daybreak? We have the Infestor out now. Are we going to see Infestor out? Oh no, the Infestor actually just gets picked off. Are we going to see the hive? Target fired. We have the Greater Spire morphing in, but it looks like LoWeLy is move commanding the Roaches out of the natural. Okay, that's interesting. We have got a few more here though, and he sees the Greater Spire now, but he's definitely not going to be able to take it apart. JonnyREcco should send enough. Johnny. Oh god, Johnny. Please, Johnny. This would be a horrible way to lose a Greater Spire, Johnny. Don't. Oh my god. 2 Roaches. 100 health. 58 health. We need a transfuse. We have a transfuse. 236 health. And yes, JonnyREcco just, by the skin of his teeth, saves the Greater Spire from LoWeLy, but that was a little bit of a micro mistake. JonnyREcco should have left a few more units in the main base. I think he thought LoWeLy sent all of the units down. So just about saving that. That was so close. As JonnyREcco now going to be morphing in a couple of Broodlords, hence that Greater Spire coming in very useful indeed. And he's going to be able to... Oh my goodness, another burrowed roach, 224, but luckily we have 2 queens here with transfuses, so that Greater Spire will eventually get more and more hit points, but not if the second wave of drops comes in handy. LoWeLy needs to micro this drop and just target down the Greater Spire if that's indeed what he's going to do. Is he going to be moving forward against this army? Oh, it looks like sadly he hasn't been targeting it very well at all. He needed to have done that a little bit sooner. The roaches are moving further towards the Greater Spire though, and he is going to try and target it down. He might have enough to do it. Yes, one more more hits, and the Greater Spire goes down for JonnyREcco. That is a huge blow from LoWeLy. JonnyREcco, I think, could have avoided it. Is he going to get the infestation hit as well? He is. This is a huge drop from LoWeLy right now, and JonnyREcco is taking massive tech damage. He's also taking a lot of damage from infestors up here in the top corner of the map. That's a lot of infested terrors, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of this stuff is going to go down. Will the hatchery be targeted down as well? We've got a few roaches here trying to do their best to... I think LoWeLy should really just focus down the hatchery. Okay, that's exactly what he's doing right now. Excellent multitasking from LoWeLy here, and I think he definitely now has an advantage here in game number 3. He's taken apart the infestation thing, he's got the Greater Spire from JonnyREcco, and now he's taking apart the 5th base as well. So the mining is going to be in favor of LoWeLy. The tech is currently in favor of LoWeLy. What does the army look like right now? We've got 7 infestors out for JonnyREcco versus 10 for LoWeLy, and we have 5 versus 4 Broodlords, and JonnyREcco is unable to make any more for quite some time indeed. His replacement Spire is being put in the natural expansion there. He's actually getting 2 spires this time, so he's going to be going for those double upgrades and the Greater Spire as well. But LoWeLy potentially has a timing to attack into it. Let's wait and see what he ends up doing here. We have a small force coming in to this base here, but it's not actually being taken. That's just happened to be a clump of Overlord. Excellent fungal growth on those roaches, getting completely not only taken apart, and a lot of corruption from LoWeLy trying to shut down the Broodlord play from JonnyREcco as well, who's going to have to position himself to try and defend this. Neither side using the middle passage just yet. LoWeLy has an advantage, but not feeling like it's great enough that he wants to try and take them out completely, leaving a couple of changelings here just for fun. And going to be sending all 3 infestors into the main base. That could be big, but there are already overseers here, so... oh my god, that's a lot of beach balls, ladies and gentlemen. And immediately getting up into the Overlord. He's not going to be able to escape, though, or is he? It's going to be so close. Oh, one more shot. Move, move, move. Get the infestors out. And no, the infestors do go down. But the hive, ladies and gentlemen, goes down for JonnyREcco. And once again, LoWeLy with an absolutely devastating drop into the main base. He won't be able to get the macro hatch, but the damage in terms of tech has been done, and the center rocks have been removed as a result of this. The Greater Spire is still morphing in from JonnyREcco, so it is taking a painfully long time for him to replenish his Broodlord count. And in the meantime, LoWeLy still only has the 5 Broodlords, but he's just doing such a good job of completely denying the tech. Everything is 3-3 now for LoWeLy. What about his flyer attacks? He has +2 flyer attacks as well as +1 flyer carapace on the way too. He's going to be denying this base definitely from JonnyREcco, who really needs to get a cancel out on that right now. He does not want to lose those minerals. And LoWeLy, in the meantime, has just been slowly getting further ahead. JonnyREcco forced to defend all of his bases against this harass, while LoWeLy just sitting there gathering it back. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. He has 12,000 minerals and 4,000 gas at the moment, and JonnyREcco only has 1,600 and 700. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's game-defining. JonnyREcco can still smash apart this army with exactly what he has, but he has to be so unbelievably cost-efficient because LoWeLy is going to be able to afford to remax again and again and again and effectively 400 supply push JonnyREcco. So Johnny needs to be thinking a lot about how he wants to handle this situation. Rebuilding his 5th base once again, and LoWeLy is still continuing to mine more than JonnyREcco at this moment in time. I can't help but feel, there we go, spine crawling up the middle of the map. This is indicative of a push through the center, spreading the creep through the central channel as well. All very, very normal, and JonnyREcco going to be able to move a couple of changelings just to see exactly what's going on. He will not be pleased to see all of this, but he does actually get the changelings by relatively easily, and he should be able to get a complete scout off, unless LoWeLy is absolutely ninja and sees that those lings aren't his very, very quickly indeed. LoWeLy sitting back at the moment, spreading his overlords here, there, and everywhere, and he's going to drop some infestors in, a natural by the looks of things. And a lot of overlords trying to confuse JonnyREcco at the moment. Oh, excellent fungal growth. Does he know that that one is the one with the infestors? And he doesn't, but those infestors are definitely gone. LoWeLy still with a lot of overlords at various other locations, though, just trying to keep JonnyREcco on his toes, and that's because he is now moving in. We have the Broodlords here. He needs to be careful. The Broodlords are very out of position. The Corruptors should be able to take them down if JonnyREcco moves right the heck now, and that's exactly what's happening. The Corruptors are coming up, but LoWeLy is catching up with the rest of his army as well, and we're going to see a lot of infested Terrans, I predict, in just a moment's time. Excellent fungal growth. Oh my god, LoWeLy gets the fungal off on the infestors. He didn't quite able to chain it, though. And the battle is definitely going to begin very shortly indeed. A lot of movements coming out from both sides. Still no infested Terrans, which I'm very surprised to see. We saw that a lot in Nurture versus Sort of, especially in this position on Daybreak, as LoWeLy looking to push towards the left-hand side of the map here. Both sides are maxed out, but we have got +2, +2, and Vengeful Sex coming in for JonnyREcco. The current flyer upgrades are 2-0. For LoWeLy. They are 1-1 for JonnyREcco, so relative parity here as the Corruptors now move in. Where are the Infestors? Where are the Fungal Growths? There we go, Fungal Growths and all of the Corruptors, but he needs to keep the Broodlords alive and kicking. Do we have some points here? We need the Infestors to do more from LoWeLy because JonnyREcco is still holding this at the moment, even though LoWeLy is in a good position. More Broodlings coming in from both sides, but nothing out of the ordinary at the moment. It looks like both sides have backed off for now. Incredibly tense, and oh dear, losing a Broodlord there unnecessarily. You need to watch out these Corruptors from JonnyREcco just doing so much damage. We need the Hydra-isks there. We need a couple of Infestors just pouring out those infested Terrans, because these Broodlings will be able to rip apart the Hydras like nobody's business. And I can't help but feel that LoWeLy could have handled that engagement very differently indeed. Imagine if we had a wall of infested Terrans here and then the Broodlords behind it. That would have done him so much better than what we saw. But he is still pushing across the map with those Spinecrawlers. He's now going to root 4 of them. And he's really looking to cement his position. These Infestors just haven't been in the game so far. JonnyREcco still has a couple in reserve, and he's able to really efficiently use his Broodlords. That's exactly what he needs to get back into this game, even taking this base, with so little health left, able to save that, and also taking the north base as well. Meanwhile, the south base is being taken from LoWeLy, but this really is where all of the action is. An Infestor with almost full health getting taken off there. That is not what JonnyREcco wants to see. And a couple of Broodlords being put offside. Is he going to get one of them? Yes, he is. Will he catch a second one? No, because now the Infestor and the Corruptors are moving in. So LoWeLy slow pushing it into JonnyREcco's fourth base right now. And we also see a Ling run by going up towards this base. He could just target the hatchery down. That's exactly what he's going to do. There are no transfuses available. Oh, come on, target the hatchery. It's at 140 hit points. Really? And there we go. The hatchery's going to go down now. All the drones get burrowed. Great decision there from JonnyREcco, but once again losing that base. He cannot be happy about that. LoWeLy, in the meantime, has been pushed back. He's going to try and go up via the north of the map now. Sees that the base has been taken in a north position. And this should be enough infested Terrans to take it down very quickly indeed. But he needs to focus down the hatchery. He does that just fine. These Spinecrawlers have been abandoned as well in the middle of the map right now. Let's take a look at what the supplies are like. 82 to 57 workers in favor of LoWeLy, but the supplies are practically the same at almost maxed out at the moment, which suggests that JonnyREcco just has a much larger army, just doesn't have the income to constantly remax it. LoWeLy up to 14,500 minerals at the moment. He's going to be able to remax on all of the things as soon as he feels like it. JonnyREcco, though, is doing so well with his army. I don't think we should take this away from him. He's been so cost efficient. He held that like an absolute boss. I would have liked to see infested Terrans in this sort of position from LoWeLy, but we didn't see that from him, and that's fine, because JonnyREcco was able to hold that like an absolute champ. Unfortunately, he lost this north base once again, which is not something he wanted to have to do. So he's going to be long-distance mining while remaking that hatchery. But he's just been holding left, right, and center as we have another group of Infestors here trying to do as much damage as they possibly can here in the main base of JonnyREcco, and they're actually getting the heck out of dodge. I'm surprised they don't try and put some more down here, because that is where the greatest fire is at the moment. But it looks like the macro hatch in the main base is being taken down now as well, and JonnyREcco is looking to potentially attack a Broodlord spanning out throughout the center of the map, but it looks like LoWeLy going to be moving in via the southern position, and this might catch JonnyREcco off guard. There we go. Those are the infested Terrans I was talking about earlier. You need that base to try and prevent those Corruptors being able to get through. Excellent fungal growth on the Corruptors as well. This engagement is going so well for LoWeLy so far. So many of these Corruptors from JonnyREcco have just disappeared, been wiped off the face of the earth, and now JonnyREcco has to try and depend on his Broodlords, but the Corruptors are able to survive long enough to pick them off, and this is looking problematic. He has got a decent number of Corruptors back here, but once again, clumping up so much, and there's so much fungal growth going on, it's difficult to tell exactly what's going on. We need a couple more fungal growth, because JonnyREcco looking like he's going to win the air battle, but there are more units from LoWeLy on the ground, which is where he seems to be winning most of his engagements. JonnyREcco back here with the Spinecrawlers, though, using a couple of Broodlords, and I think he should be able to hold this. LoWeLy may be overextending a little bit. He started off that engagement fantastically, but then he moved his ground army here and moved his Corruptors here, and that gave JonnyREcco the initiative he needed to fungal growth. And that's exactly what happens. So JonnyREcco holds, but he is at 800 minerals and 50 gas at the moment. Effectively no income. Whereas LoWeLy is on 12,000 minerals, ladies and gentlemen. He is still going to try and work it up like a champ. See if he can remax fast enough. A lot of damage being done to the drones here at the 5th base location of JonnyREcco. And no doubt the hatchery's going to be focused down soon as well. But actually, JonnyREcco able to save a decent number of those with a couple of rogue reinforcements. In the meantime, all hell is breaking loose in the middle of the map. More and more units moving up here, really wanting to kill off this hatchery once and for all. And LoWeLy is just sitting around with so many infestors right now, going up to 3-3 melee and flyer attacks. And does he have adrenal glands? The bane of every caster on Earth. Does he have adrenal glands? Yes, he does. So, excellent play there. Is he going to be able to take this hatchery down? He's certainly giving it his best shot. He's able into the assimilator, and now we have a decent amount of DPS. Yes, this hatchery is going to go down. That is the answer we were looking for. And once again, JonnyREcco is slowly being starved out. He's been so cost-efficient with his units, but he just doesn't have the money to do anything about it. LoWeLy, in the meantime, is safely mining from this 6 o'clock position now, and he's also spine-crawlering this position up too, while constantly denying new bases to JonnyREcco, whose income has now dropped below half of that of LoWeLy. So JonnyREcco doing an excellent job holding on, but he needed to be more aggressive earlier on in the game. And hatcheries going down left, right, and center. Yet another Zergling. Absolutely relentless here from LoWeLy, not allowing JonnyREcco to build anything, anywhere, anytime. And he could even just throw these lings away at the moment and just start thinking about pushing in. That's exactly what he might do here. 145 supply for JonnyREcco, 200 supply for LoWeLy, and we're waiting to see when LoWeLy decides is a good time to move out. The army composition, by the way, has exactly 0 broodlords in it for LoWeLy at the moment. I wonder if he's waiting to morph all of these corruptors in at the same time. There are 11 broodlords out for JonnyREcco, so LoWeLy needs to be very, very careful about that. But LoWeLy's just not concentrating on beating JonnyREcco in a straight engagement at the moment. He just wants to starve his opponent out and force JonnyREcco into doing the attacking himself, and that's exactly that's actually working at the moment. I mean, JonnyREcco just doesn't have that much more leeway. And he's getting a lot more drones up here in the top left expansion now, but more and more Zerglings just constantly moving towards there. And it's going to be so frustrating for JonnyREcco to deal with this while trying to remax on his army. He has a good number of broodlords, but they need to do something. Apparently this broodlord is a Ravager with 13 kills. I mean, just look. Assassin, I like that, with 16 kills. Slayer with 7 kills. JonnyREcco has just been so unbelievably cost efficient, but that's going to have to end at some point because LoWeLy is back up to 13,000 minerals and 1,500 gas. So he is potentially looking now to perform some sort of a kill move. It looks like we have some corruptors coming out here along with 4 infestors into the X main base of JonnyREcco, which as we can see is a little bit of a ghost town at the moment. He's going to be moving in to, oh no, here are the infestors. Are we going to see the infested Terrans go down near the Greater Spire? That's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. The Hydralisk man being targeted now, and we also have an Overseer at the top, so he's possibly getting ready for another attack there. There's the Greater Spire, does LoWeLy spot it? He does indeed. A lot of infested Terrans being taking it out once again. The Greater Spire goes down, the Hive goes down, the Infestation Pit might even go down here, and JonnyREcco's tech once more is in absolute tatters. This is actually insane. We have JonnyREcco defending the top left expansion once again, but his old natural, where all of his tech was, has just been obliterated, and LoWeLy is looking more and more in a commanding position. He's now moving in with some broodlords here. JonnyREcco has a very fearsome army, but he has absolutely no cash left in the bank, and LoWeLy's just going to be going in now. You see a lot of broodling on broodling action, because what do you do when your opponent gets broodlords? You better get some broodlords. Pretty standard response, right? Infestors coming up here from LoWeLy now, going to try and stop the corruptors from JonnyREcco. Excellent chain fungal. We need another one on there. There we go. More and more fungal growth on these corruptors should enable them to go down quickly, and then LoWeLy is going to try and swoop in with the rest of his rulers, but JonnyREcco is taking great care of his effect. And a lot of spine crawlers are out on the ground. Good fungal growth against the corruptors here. In fact, we have a small bunch of lings getting ready to hit here as well. JonnyREcco going to try for a flank through the middle of the map with some Zerglings. Is that going to be enough? There are a lot of infestors actually. He needs to fungal some of those lings and watch the heck out, because JonnyREcco is pushing forward with his broodlords at the moment. And even though he is down about 100 supply, he's actually doing very well in this engagement. That might be because this base just got completely ravaged by yet another bunch of lings. Just doing so unbelievably much here. LoWeLy is gutting JonnyREcco right now. And GG, LoWeLy, ladies and gentlemen, takes a 2-1 win over JonnyREcco to advance to the next round of the WCS European Continental Finals.